And so you don't have a right, you have an obligation to purchase. And if it drops below 14, then let's say at expiration it's below 14, you're going to have to live up to that obligation 100% of the time. But if it stays above the 14, you're most likely not going to have to live up to that obligation. But technically, you have an obligation at any time it can be assigned to you. But the odds on it being assigned to you when it's below. Let me discuss what we call here at Dorian Trader the Pillar 1, which is the buying and selling of a call and a put, and what's happening when you buy and sell a call and a put, and the rights and obligations. We do have Pillar 2, which is the options chain. That's how you buy and sell calls and puts and how you determine your probabilities of success and things like that. And then you have the Pillar 3, which is the basic option strategies. And we're going to kind of discuss a few of the basic option strategies as we talk about the Pillar 1 here. So let's jump over here. And that's we were looking at him. So we're going to use it just as an example here. And if I go to 39 days here, and if I was going to buy a call on HIMS, let's say at this 18 strike, and it's currently trading at just almost at 17, just above 17 here. If I'm going to buy a call, the buying of a call is a basic strategy. And it's one of two strategies that most people start with when they're starting trading options, when they get introduced to options. I would say the first thing they start with most of the time is the buying of the call, and the second thing is the selling of the cash secured put. We'll talk about both of those here in a second. But starting off with this call, when you are the buyer of a call, you're bullish, you want it to go up. That's how you make money, and you have a right to purchase at a strike price. So in this case, if you buy the 18 strike price, you have a right to purchase there, but not an obligation. And so the way I kind of try to explain this to people is that when you go buy car insurance from a company like Geico and you sign the contract and you have a right to have them fix your car if you get in a car accident, right? But if you get in a small fender bender, you don't have to have Geico fix it. You can fix it yourself. And a lot of times people do that so they don't have any kind of accident on their record. So insurance won't go up, significantly. So they just take care of the fender bender themselves. But you do have the right to have Geico do it, but not the obligation. That's how you kind of think about it when you're thinking about rights and obligations with options, is that, yeah, you can make someone live up to their obligation, but you don't have to. And so this is what is happening with this call here. You have the right to buy at 18. But if it drops, let's just say below 18, or if you still haven't met your cost basis, you don't have to exercise your right. Or if you just want to make the difference between, in dollar amounts, I should say, the difference between the 18 and let's say it jumped up to 30, you don't have to exercise at 18. You can just close the trade and take your cash profit. That's what they mean when they're saying right and obligation.
O'Brien?
Yes.
Good morning. Do you not have to clear 20 plus before you're in a profit on that?
Before we continue with the video, I just want to quickly point out, if you need any additional help, please consider joining our trading club. You can do that by clicking on the link in the description area, and you'll get a 3-month trial for a flat fee of $60. We look forward to seeing you in the trading club. Back to the video. So at expiration, you do have to clear 20 plus, right? You have to supersede what you're paying. So let's say you're paying $245. And so you have to be above $20.45 to be able to make money at expiration. But in between expiration, in between this 39 days, if this HIMS jumps up a lot, this will be worth a lot more than $245. So you win. So as long as you sell it for more than $245, you have won. And so you don't have to wait for expiration. And we encourage members not to wait for expiration, because if you wait for expiration, your probability is going to be less than 50-50, almost 100% of the time, if not 100% of the time. As you can see here, this pop here on Tasty Trade, they're saying the probability of winning is 26%. This is based on expiration. So it has to be above 2045 for you to be able to win. But if you get out at 50%, Tasty Trade is saying you got a better than a 50-50 shot, better than a coin flipping shot to make 50% on this trade. Go ahead, Andrea.
Sorry, I misunderstood. So even prior to expiration, do you not have to come out at, I don't know, 2044 or something like that?
No.
You can't make a profit until it passes the 20.
No, you can. If it jumps up to 19 a day, this is going to be worth way more than 245.
Okay.
It's worth more than 245. I mean, potentially you can get more than 245 now. But you don't have to wait until it's above 20. It all depends on how fast it's starting to jump up, Andrea, because then you have what is called extrinsic value. That's time value. So if it jumps up a lot, then it's going to have more time value in it. It's more extrinsic in it. That's why you have a probability of an expiration, which is almost always going to be less than 50% for the option buyer, for the single option buyer. But it's usually going to be, anywhere from 50 to 60% if you get out before expiration.
That's excellent. I've always been wrong on that, because I wouldn't do that trade, because I always thought you had to clear what you paid for it before you went into profit. So that's great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Way you're saying it, you do have to clear what you're paying for it, but not the certain dollar amount. Like what you're saying two things, right? So if I pay 245 for me to make profit, I have to sell it for more than 245. But it doesn't have to be above 2045 for me to make any profit before expiration. At expiration, yes. Before expiration, it doesn't have to be above 2045, and I can still make a profit. That's most likely going to be the case. You got a 50 to 60% chance, in my opinion, that you're going to make some money on it if you get out of it, let's just say sometime within that 39 days. Okay.
Yeah. The P50 is showing 53%.
Correct. It's fluctuating right now, but yes.
Yeah. So you're going to get 50%. That's saying you're going to get 50% of your
264 or 245
yeah.
that you pay. That's what that's what you're going to make. So if you just for easy math, you guys, if you pay $200 for it, that P50 is indicating you making $100. So you've been able to sell it for $300. So that's 50% profit. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. And so that's the call side, right? That's when you're bullish. When you are bullish and you sell a put, right? This is the second thing that people do most of the time when they're new to options, is they sell puts. Not necessarily at the money, but let's just say you sold this put right here at the 14 strike, where you're going to collect 112, and you're going to have an obligation to have to buy at the 14 strike here. And so you don't have a right, you have an obligation to purchase. If it drops below 14, then let's say at expiration it's below 14, you're going to have to live up to that obligation 100% of the time. But if it stays above the 14, you're most likely not going to have to live up to that obligation. But technically, you have an obligation at any time it can be assigned to you. But the odds on it being assigned to you when it's above the 14 is very, very small. It's darn near a 0% chance that's going to happen. But a lot of people use this type of strategy when they're new to be able to learn how to sell options, but also be able to get into a stock that they're interested in. So if you were interested in example HIMS here, and you thought that it can possibly drop some more, then you would sell something like this 14, give you about $3.68 difference before it hits your strike. Plus you're collecting some money. So your cost basis would be $12.88. And some people would think this is an amazing price to be able to buy this at, especially if you're bullish on it long term. You feel like the kind of situation they're going through right now is transitory. Then this is a good way to, test the waters, to be able to sell a cash secured put, have an obligation to buy at 14, have a cost basis lower than that. The only kind of negative with this, in my opinion, if you're okay with owning the shares, the only kind of negative is that if it jumps up significantly before you have to take ownership of the shares, right? So would I just say tomorrow it's back up 25%, and that's possible, right? Let's just say whatever good news comes out and it's up a ton. Well, you're going to miss out on that opportunity, costs, but you're still going to make some money. You're not going to lose any money, but you're going to miss out on a big gain. And so to me, when a stock drops a lot and you think it's a really good stock, then that is some risk, is missing out on a big move when you sell a cash secured put. But this is a basic strategy. It's a basic strategy that you have to understand. Now, if we flip this, we put naked call on the call side, then you have an obligation to sell at the strike price, right? Over here on the put side, we had an obligation to buy at the strike price, which was the 14. On the call side, you have the obligation to sell. Because if you think about it, the buyer has a right. The buyer of a call, when we're looking at that 18, the buyer of the call has the right to purchase. So someone must have the obligation to sell. So whoever bought this call has a right to purchase. So someone has to have the obligation to sell, because the buyer has the right to purchase. That means at any time you have the right to purchase. So someone has to have an obligation. The seller of the call has the obligation. In this case, you have to sell the shares at the 20 strike. If you're doing a naked call, it's a basic strategy with advanced risk. So if this jumped up to 30, you would have the obligation to sell the shares to the buyer at the 20, but that means you would have to go buy the shares at 30 and then sell them at 20. And so that's a $10 difference or $1,000 difference. The brokerage firms are going to do this for you automatically, but that's technically what's happening, is that you're going out and purchasing shares at 30 and then selling them to someone at 20, which is a $10 loss. 10 times 100 is $1,000 loss. That's how it works on the call side. It's a basic strategy. It's bearish, but it's got advanced risk. As you can see down here, it says unlimited risk to the upside. That's their max loss, infinity, right? And so a lot of people do these calls like this, the selling of a call, when they have shares. And that's called a covered call. That's like the third thing people do probably most when they're new to options is sell a covered call. And so that takes this risk from being advanced to basic risk, which is, preferable for people who are new. So for me, just show you guys what I mean by this. If I do this and I buy the shares down here, you can see instead of having unlimited risk, now we have $1,500 basically of risk if this HIMS went to zero. So that's a different level of risk when you do the covered call. Now, if we switch this and do one more basic here and we buy the put, this is also bearish, right? So if you sell a call, you're bearish. If you buy a put, you are bearish. And so when you buy a put, you have the right to sell at a strike price. Once again, it's that kind of basic type of definition of options. If you're the buyer of the put, you have a right and not an obligation to sell at a strike price. So as we went over a second ago, the seller of the put has an obligation to purchase. Because once again, if someone has a right to do something, someone on the other side must have an obligation to do the opposite. Okay. And so if you're the buyer of a put, you have the right to sell, and you're usually going to do that if the underlining is below your strike price. You're going to sell, and you'll exercise your right to sell. Or most of the time with options, people just take their profits. They take the cash difference. They don't actually exercise their right. Now, what we've talked about right now is two options. It's only two types of options, a call and a put. But we've talked about 4 different ways you can use it, and then you can put them all in different type of combinations to come up with hundreds of different strategies. But if you are the buyer of a call, you are bullish, you want it to go up. Here, if you're the buyer of the call. If you're the buyer of the put, you're bearish, you want it to go down. If you are the seller of the put, you're bullish, you want it to go up. If you are the seller of a call, you're bearish, you want it to go down. The buyers have rights and not obligations. The sellers have obligations. When you're learning the kind of first pillar of the base of options, what's happening when you buy and sell a call and a put, and what's your rights and obligations. That is what we just went over. These are things that you want to memorize until you get it. Right? You go through the process of memorizing like you are cramming for a test, and then you do that as many times as you possibly can until it goes to your long-term memory, and then you know it. And this is important to understand. You want to know this.